Welcome back to the Voice of Disruption. I'm Ken Rutkowski. We're here to help you disrupt yourself by bringing people that are doing the whole idea of disruption. And he actually has a book all around the idea of disrupting you. It's Jay Samit, who I've known for about 25 years. You look exactly the same.
You lie.
You do. But hey, Jay, so you have gone through so much personal disruption over the last, let's say, 20, 30 years. You've seen industries go through disruption, and you personally have gone through disruption, right?
Yeah, so what started me on the journey of looking at this world this way is you work with a bunch of people and you wake up one day and dozens of your friends become billionaires. And you go, wait a second. They're not smarter than the average person. They didn't go to the right schools. They didn't come from the right families. They didn't go to the right country club. What are they doing different?
Right.
How are they looking at the world differently? They have the same 24 hours in the day that you and I do, but they look at problems differently. And that's what it really comes down to. If you have problems in your life, congratulations, you're halfway there. Because all that a disruptor does is figure out solutions to problems.
But they identify the problems first.
Identify it. Solve for 5 people, you're popular. Solve for 1 million, you're rich.
You are rich. And some of the most disruptive stuff are some fairly basic things, right? Ride sharing.
Problems, yeah. I mean, Uber, Airbnb, all these came out of problems. Can't pay our rent, Macworld's coming to town, we'll get some air mattresses. Wait, maybe other people have excess capacity of rooms. Maybe other people have excess capacity of cars, time, whatever it might be. And we're now about to enter what I think will be the most exciting disruptive period of my life. I mean, I saw the PC come and that changed the world. It was very good to Jay. I saw then when we had the web, unbelievably great. Then mobile, connected us all. So we're 1 click away from 7 billion people. You don't have to be right and sell them once and you're a billionaire. But now augmented reality is going to finish that mission.
We hear this term, that's AR, augmented reality.
Right.
It's very different than virtual reality, right?
Virtual reality is you're locked away and you're in some other world. Augmented means that you're adding something to your present environment. So the simplest one is when you watch a football game, that first yard line, that yellow line, it's not really there.
It's not there.
That's how they could paint it invisibly and move it, right? So we're used to things not being there that add to us. Today, when you use a car driving system, you're looking down at the map and then you look at the road and you look at the map. Not very safe. Your heads-up display, much like a fighter pilot, the road will turn green and just follow the green stripe.
So AR has been around for a long time. We've seen it in basic use.
Yeah, so here's the 2 big things that are driving it from, the Haunted Mansion to what we have nowadays. Number 1, AI and machine learning behind the scenes. So the whole environment will conspire to bring you knowledge when you need it. So my favorite example is you're hiking through the rainforest of Costa Rica. A viper comes down and bites you. You don't want to hold up your phone and take a picture of it. You want to know one thing.
How do I
Am I going to
live?
die? Right. Is it poisonous? Instantly, it can tell you, no, it's not, or who would you like to call? You have 3 minutes to live.
Those are practical uses.
Those are practical uses, very practical.
But that's not where the big money is going to be made. It's probably in the entertainment space. It's
it's actually entertainment's maybe 10%.
Oh, really?
It's everyday living. It's walking down the street and you want to know a vegan restaurant, okay? It'll walk in, you can, follow the carrots going down the sidewalk to the restaurant.
So this is Jay Samit, who we're hanging out with right now. Jay's book is called Disrupt You. It's published all over the world. Jay, before we dive even deeper into this, what makes you the authority on disruption?
What makes me the authority? Readers all over the world. I've focused on this and figured out how to teach it. And I guess that's what it is. That you can retrain your brain, you can make yourself view the world differently. And it all starts with introspection. If you can disrupt yourself, if you can change your self-image, that little voice that's always nagging at you, and that voice started from parents and teachers that wanted you to do well and shield you from pain. So it told you you're not good at math, you can't public speak, you're not a reader, you can't, whatever it is, limiting you. When in fact, you sucked in 3rd grade on that spelling test, that doesn't mean you can't write, okay? And if you can change that voice and change yourself, suddenly the world becomes malleable.
And you've done that to yourself.
And I've done that to myself. I was dyslexic. I was, the last one picked in reading groups. You have I'm from Philadelphia. You had the Eagles, the Hawks, and the Mud Hens. Yeah, I was the Mud Hen. And at 5 years old, you kind of get what that means. So what I did to hide the fact that I wasn't very good was I would on group projects, delegate everything so nobody would know I couldn't read. Turns out that's great training to be a CEO.
Delegation.
Just delegate and don't read anything. But once you start looking that you can actually rewire your physiology by attitude, you can, stop needing medications by rewire. Everything's controlled by how you perceive reality. So in fact, we've all been living in an artificial reality that wasn't the way the world was, it's the way we saw the world.
Okay.
So now we have technology that can allow us to solve problems, and no one has walked the same life that you have. No one has seen the same
So
problems
it's going
you
to be
have.
customized to individuals. That's the key.
But the other side is you have experiences and a viewpoint that somebody sitting in Sand Hill Road with hundreds of millions of dollars doesn't.
So Jay, let's step back because
Okay.
you've been in multiple industries that needed to be disrupted
Right.
and they didn't go through it, or they saw somebody else disrupt it and they're not extinct, but they're having issues. Music industry.
Music industry, so $40 billion industry. I watched it literally overnight go to $20 billion industry and never recovered to this day.
From a free piece of software.
From a free piece of Napster. And you're now seeing the cable business model broken, the newspaper business model broken, broadcast television. More budgets are being spent on TV. It's the golden era of television right now, and no one's making any money. So if you can now see that there's all this change, you can get ahead of it. You can harness that to your advantage. Because here's the little secret, and I've been a public company CEO on NASDAQ. Big companies are thinking about the next quarter. The cheese you have in your fridge has a longer shelf life than a CEO today.
Wow.
So no CEO is sitting there figuring out what's our 5-year plan or 3-year plan. They're like, how do I get my bonus? Okay. So they're not investing in the future, which is why they'd rather overpay to buy your startup than invest and build it themselves. That's the opportunity. How many times have we seen a startup that's never made a dime profit, like Waze, sell for
$1
billions?
billion, right?
Instagram, $1 billion.
I'm trying, and I like how you're deflecting, but
What
I
am I
am trying to
deflecting?
go after you personally.
Oh.
Well, because again, the book is called Disrupt You,
Right.
which means is you had to have either gone through it yourself or you've watched not just industries but individuals be disrupted.
So I came out of school, I bought into that promise that society made. Get good grades, go to good university, get a good job, get a gold watch, live happily ever after.
Okay.
Get out, there's a depression. There were no jobs. To everybody watching in millennials, over the next 5 years, 50% of all jobs in the US will disappear. So I didn't set out to do this because I wanted to be different. I'm like, ooh, I got 2 small sons, I gotta pay the bills, there's no jobs. How can I figure out how the world works?
Got it.
And from watching that pattern and then seeing, wow, I have this opportunity, the PC's coming out. What can I do that nobody's doing in this big marketplace? And I tell the story of my friend, and I don't know if I've told this story to you before, but everybody's writing new programs, everything. This is, the 80s, it's brand new. He made dust covers, plastic dust covers for PCs.
Okay.
Because it was the second most expensive purchase that anyone had made in their home. A $2,000,
How do you do that?
$3,000 machine. Well, people said, whoa, I'm going to put a plastic thing over this. This is very important. And then the mouse came out and said, oh, I'll make little mouse pads. And very young, he suddenly sold his company to Rubbermaid for $135 million.
Just for covering up the second most expensive thing in their home.
Right. He didn't know how a PC worked, but he found a niche.
These are called cottage industries, right?
But let's look at the modern day. You buy your brand new phone, you pay $30 for a nickel piece of plastic that goes on the back.
You're right. All these industries.
$18 billion industry.
So Jay, how important do you think traditional education is in this modern world?
Depends what your definition of traditional education. So for most of the past 500 years, education has been about rote memorization. When was the War of 1812? Very good. In certain cultures, they still have that. In the Middle East, whoever can memorize the most passages of the Quran, okay, is
Right.
considered. But nowadays, hey Google, you can get a fact.
All the information's there.
Liberal arts, creative thinking, logic, problem solving. If you go back to the Aristotelian era of ancient Greece, of being able to think outside the box, literally about thinking, that type of education is invaluable today. Because anything that can be automated will.
So if you had a choice right now as a high school student who's graduating, Do you take a gap year? Do you take a few years off? Do you dive deep by going into conferences, into trade shows and learn? Or do you go to traditional college? And I know right now you're going, oh my God,
No.
I don't want to shoot myself in the foot because...
No, and I teach how to build a high-tech startup at a major university, and many of my students come to me, should I quit and do this? And I tell them, yes, when I think it makes sense. But realistically, you're not ready to change the world as much as you want to. You don't have enough experience. But there's no reason why you're in college you can't have a side hustle. Learn how business works, learn how to make money. By the time I graduated college, and I paid my way through college, you know, I did it on my own. I bought a house the same month I graduated.
Wow.
Okay?
That's incredible.
I mean, I was hustling. I paid my first taxes at 11 years old. So I've been just wired this way, okay? But it can be taught. And if you have that excess time, the biggest investment you can make when you're young is investing in yourself. Your value's between these two ears.
That's where it is.
Where can you learn? Where can you get an internship and work for free and take another job to make the money?
So you still got to be entrepreneurial while you're in college is what you're saying. Think differently. Don't just think like I'm in school and that's it and I'll figure it out when I get out.
Yeah, there's no coasting and they're coming at the last
anymore.
week to recruit everybody and you're going to get the Google job, okay?
People want to hunt you down, find you. Where do they get the book and find you?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere on social media. jsamit.com, jsamit on Twitter. Reach out. Happy to help.
And the book?
If you go to my website, free companion workbook, 40-page workbook, so you can start disrupting your life day one.
DisruptYou.com?
jsamit.com.
There you go. It's all branded. Voice of Disruption, Ken Rutkowski, Jay Samit. We're disrupting you. We'll be right back.